But me personally, so I've basically, I've got lived experience of mental illness. I was abused as a child and neglected, and as a result, I now have PTSD. And I'm a survivor of suicide attempts in relation to that as well. So basically what I'm doing currently is essentially looking at different ways to sort of challenge stigma attached to mental health. So one thing that I've been doing is getting my face out there and sort of putting together presentations and workshops around anti-stigma. So basically sharing my story in a way which is sort of mind-provoking, yet also quite light as well, you know, because it's quite heavy content. So I do try and sort of reel that in a little bit. I also deliver sort of bespoke and sort of evidence-based workshops as well and training. So I've recently took under something called Safe Talk, which stands for Suicide Alertness for Everybody. And it's accessible to anybody over 15 years of age. And what Safe Talk does is it essentially gives participants the skills to spot the sort of symptoms that somebody might be having in a suicidal moment, whether that be behavioural changes or the language that they're using. Because there is subtle things that people give off in suicidal moments. They're just generally not picked up by the untrained eye or mind. And that's what we try and do. We try and give that awareness so then people can sort of look to use that and go out into the communities and essentially make those communities suicide safer. So the basically over the last sort of 2 or 3 years since I've been involved with the like sort of what I'm doing now, it was highlighted back in February 2018. It was that basically suicide rates in Middlesbrough at the time were the highest in the country, you know. So we were some 70% higher than some areas of the country, which was obviously quite damaging. We have came down slightly in 2017, sorry, not 2016, because the figures were 2015 rather. So we came down to second. However, the Office of National Statistics have released the suicide rates today for 2018. And as a whole, as a country, they actually have gone up by 12%. I haven't delved that far into the numbers in terms of regions, etc. But obviously I will be doing that over the next couple of days to digest that and see what we do look like. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's tough times, you know. Obviously in Middlesbrough we get a lot of bad press, you know. It was only recently that we were heavily on national news due to the drugs and stuff like that in the town. So obviously that's a contributing factor. It's just about being proactive, you know, giving people different outlets. I'm working on something which is essentially a refuge for men fleeing domestic abuse. There's lots of evidence out there to say that somebody who's been abused in some way is 12 times more likely to take their own life. You know, being a man in its own right, suicide is the biggest killer of men under 50. So add in the factors of potential homelessness as a result of domestic abuse and relationship breakdown. There's so many different factors, you know. There's no one size fits all when it comes to mental health. There needs to be more person-centred care around it and sort of tailored approaches. So that's what we're looking to do. So we've got sort of different agencies and different companies that are already established that are sort of helping out and chipping in. So it's just getting off the ground really. Obviously there's nothing like it in the country, so there's no particular model that I can replicate. Essentially it is bespoke, it is new, and it is obviously going to take a bit of time to get over the line. But you know, getting this out there, getting the message out there, it will happen. I won't rest until it happens. And like I say, it's about being proactive in our approach. Tuesday, September the 10th, it's the World Suicide Prevention Day. And effectively there's tons and tons of resources out there. So as well as the stuff that I'll be doing, so I'm doing a lot of anti-stigma talks with 13 Group on the day itself. So travelling to different sites of 13 Group as well as North Star and also Bridge House as well. I'm hoping to do something over there. And then, yeah, so I'll be back on CVFM next Tuesday again to sort of see how that went. I'll also be highlighting a few of the other bits and bobs that other sort of suicide prevention charities are going to be going on and doing as well. So there's a charity in Peterlee Way called If You Care Share. And what they've been doing is a campaign called Inside Out, which is essentially asking people to wear their clothing inside out, because when somebody takes their own life, that is essentially what happens. It turns to people's families and friends' lives inside out as a result. So yeah, I'll be taking part in that. And there's another cycling around the globe, which is put on by the International Association for Suicide Prevention as well. There's tons and tons of resources and stuff going on. If you just log on to iasp.info, and there's a wealth of information on there about suicide prevention activities you can get involved in, charities, and like I say, it's a global effort, you know. Obviously the message that I'm delivering is that we're stronger together, and that's what we need to do.